When you first graduated, were you thinking about how you were going to allocate your first paycheck? So today's topic will be, as a fresh grad, should I start with investing, saving, or insurance? So before I dive into today's video, do give a like and subscribe to my channel for more content. It will help me lots. So as a fresh graduate, receiving our first paycheck, we want to start doing something with the money that we are earning, whether to buy for protection, which is insurance, or to grow our wealth, or to save for rainy days. There are quite a lot of things we can do with our salary, but what should we do first? So I'll be sharing more on my perspective, and also as a fresh graduate, since I've been working full-time for about 2 years now. For me, when I first graduated, my starting salary was not high, and definitely not even at the median salary of 3,600. I was earning way below that, meaning my take-home pay isn't much as well, considering that we pay 20% of it to CPF. So I'm lucky because my mother did get for me insurance in terms of life and hospitalization insurance. So this really helped me a lot because I knew that I had some form of insurance beforehand and can build on that further. I wanted to increase my coverage, particularly for critical illness. And so when I got my first pay, I didn't go straight into insurance, but I started with the most important thing first, which was building up an emergency fund. So in my opinion, I would think that building savings to a certain amount and at the same time consider your insurance opinions that are within your capabilities of paying will be a good first step, because once you have both savings and insurance in place, any other extra money can be invested. So for emergency funds or savings, when I first graduated and received my first paycheck, I put aside $700 per month until I reached about $13,000. This means that it took me about 18 months to build it up. Besides that, I also had some extra money that I put into another account to build up as an investment fund. So having an allocation in place is really important, and it can pave the way for your financial journey as it lays very strong foundation for how you will be managing your money. So after I had put aside 13,000, I kind of loosened up on my savings per month and channeled more into my investment funds, which means I reduced the amount that I put aside for my emergency fund. But if you feel that you need a large cash buffer on your end, you can choose not to decrease it for the monthly allocation. But for me, I wanted to invest more and hold just the right amount of emergency funds, and hence I reduced the amount that I allocated to it. And so after I had that amount of money put aside, I decided to look into my insurance coverage, since I'm now earning a fixed income monthly and can ensure that I can pay for my insurance premiums. So since I have life and hospitalization insurance already, which I'm also paying on my end by transferring the ownership to me from my mom, I decided to get a personal accident and a critical illness plan. So for a personal accident, it's pretty straightforward because it's an annual premium and there is no health checks or anything if you have any existing conditions. For critical illness, it was a bit more complex because for me, I do have existing illness, and so I needed to go for a medical checkup before they could allow me to go ahead with purchasing of it. So definitely what came to my mind was the premiums involved. You have to make sure you can pay for your premiums and not overload yourself in terms of the premiums that you're paying. So all in all, I chose to pay for my premiums yearly because you can save quite a bit, although it's paid in a lump sum. So it does feel quite painful during the premium deduction date. because you have to make sure that you have sufficient funds to pay for it, and it's a lump sum deduction. So for me, I would think that hospitalization and critical illness is particularly important because once you fall ill, the costs can add up, and these two protections can ensure that your costs can be covered or lessened at least. For me, life insurance is not so critical unless you feel that you have a lot of dependents. For example, you have children, and maybe you have family members who rely on you for their survival, and that if you do pass on, they would require a lump sum to survive. For me, my mom currently has adequate coverage insurance for herself, and she doesn't depend entirely on me for survival. My brother, he has a scholarship and has monthly allowance, so I don't find a huge need to get a large sum assured if I do pass away. But if I do get sick or injured and I cannot work for a period of time, I would like the period of time when I'm hospitalized or unable to work to be compensated. So I would feel that hospitalization and critical illness is insurance coverage that I would like. So in terms of investment, I started investing actually when I was in university, but I definitely pumped in more money after I started working full-time. I feel that you should always have a sum of money before putting the rest of your money into investments, because if things do go bad in the market, you have your emergency funds to lay back on and do not need to liquidate your investment, especially if it's a bad time to do so. So I feel that investment is something that is best to start when you're young, so that you can afford taking more risk and also have the time for compounding to take place. So for me, as I've mentioned many times in my previous videos, I was actually into individual stock picking initially, but to be honest, it turned out really bad for my portfolio, and my portfolio became too diversified for a small amount of capital. So I decided to start index investing, also due to big work commitments where I will not have the time to read up on companies or even just be able to free up more time for myself. So far, index investing has been going well for me, and I will keep to it, though I still do buy individual stocks once in a while. So overall, in conclusion, I feel that as a fresh graduate, we all have a lot of thoughts on how we want to use our first paycheck. And I think it's good that we are thinking about it. So my mom once shared with me that her first pay was actually like a few $100s, and she spent it all on a makeup palette, where she even had to borrow some money because it was too expensive. When I heard that story, that was definitely quite funny, as I can't imagine my mom spending all her paycheck, which is very different from right now. And she mentioned that at that time, when she first got her first paycheck, she was so excited about having that lump sum of money that she just spent whatever money she had on hand. So if you're thinking about how to allocate your salary, means that you know that financially you have some goals. So I do feel that it is a good first step, and in turn will shape your financial journey. That's all I have today, and I hope the content is informative. To hit the like button and subscribe for me to produce more content for you guys. Thank you.